Hello everyone, what's the crack? So on this video I'm going to show you how I created these columns here, the details on them, the details on the bottom. I'll talk about the mixes, the tools used, and probably get into sort of how long it took. This is cold weather, so we do know it takes a bit longer. And obviously you wouldn't think such a small detailed job would take so much tools, but believe me, I've used every one of these tools on this job. And hopefully, if you haven't watched the video before this, how I scratch coated the wall, which was a separate video, and that's basically what I've worked off here is my scratch coat. Done a couple of other things, but I'll try and cover everything I did, everything I would, if I was to do it again, might do differently. And you know, if you're ever going to take on a job similar, might give you some heads ups. So from the start, guys, we'll just get started. And basically I wanted, in my scratch code I lined out the wall, so I have two level lines. I broke this wall up into sections. I want it to look pretty marginal left and right. So what I'm doing here is I'm setting up my buttons, and these will be plumb, and the line of them will be the center line of these columns. Sort of semi-built-in columns, if you wish. So don't forget to make sure they're plumb and double check them, as if anything runs off after that, it's going to be very, very difficult once you start to adjust. And now what I'm doing is just tacking in some galvanized nails here, and these are just going to help my heavy coats hold in strong and hopefully anchor them to the wall somewhat. So make sure if you're using them, make sure you use stainless steel or at least galvanized or something coated that will not rust. But hopefully my coat that is below them and what I'm piling on the top here now will also prevent them from rusting, as it's got waterproofers in it. So the mix underneath here is, as you know, I scratch with 3:1. Our sand's quite gritty, but it's still nice to work with, so I prefer a 3:1 mix for that. But what I'm now putting on here is 3.5:1. Believe it or not, I've just added on that extra half bucket of sand just to weaken it down, so that I'm not going 3:1 on top of 3:1. I know people do it different, but this is the way I've started. And I've went with the method of sort of just slapping it on over the nails, and for that reason I just don't really want to damage the trowel by trying to coat up round nails, and this is working quite well to give me an initial build out. So on top of that, now I did dust these down a bit with some dryers, as we call, and that's usually made up of a 4:1 dry mix with dry sand and cement. So just checking it here with the Innova trowel, which is got the radius that I want. I've curved it round and got the shape that I want, and that's the shape that I'm going to pull these columns in. So basically that's my straight edge. I'm working off a level button on my left side, and I'm giving it a slight angle, couple of mil off, and whatever comes off with the radius trowel here, as you see me pulling up, I will then fill in. Now bear in mind, the coat that I'm putting on now is actually a second coat, same day, but the beauty of that is I got the first slap coat on nice and early, give it a bit of a dryer, bit of a sort of a dusting down to help dry out the moisture. And you can see the walls either side of this have dried out well over the day, as it's now also helping draw some moisture out left and right of this. And if you use dry buttons, believe it or not, the timber will also soak moisture out of your render. But I use damp buttons as we're laying outside, and I'm not too stuck for time here. And here we go. This trowel's been working absolutely beautiful to give me a shape. So I know I'm staying level when I'm working off my button. And I've just given it a slight angle, no more than 2-3 mil lifting it off, so they can scrape up the way and cut. So just cleaning down my angle on this side. The button's pretty clean on the far side. Believe it or not, the trowel's been working wonders, keeping that side clean along with the button. So you will find using a trowel all the time on something with a round edge can also be difficult. You might find you'll drop more than what you'll get on the wall. So you'll see me using a pointing trowel or a gazing trowel quite a lot during this video. And believe it or not, I absolutely love this pointing trowel. I had lost it for probably about a year and then found it again in a bucket. So it's a wee bit rusty, but it's quite a nice wee trowel. If you look back on some of the older videos on the channel, I think I cut coin stones with this and a small tool pointing trowel. So, but you can see, just building it out again, guys. It's not easy to build out such depth. It's quite a heavy coat. I wouldn't recommend even trying to do this all in one day, as you'll end up with it all on the ground. And I can tell you the column on the left tried to go on me once, and then I got a bit carried away, and I would say at least a fifth of the top went back to scratch. I had to actually cut it off as I was pulling up, and if I didn't cut it off, I would have had the whole column to do again. And the whole idea is to keep these two columns colour wise, shape wise, everything to look nice and even as possible. And you can see, just constantly checking the shape, as at this stage, if you go too far, if there's too big lumps, that will hinder me later on when I'm coming to finish and cut out. So this is actually the next day now, and you can see that the columns have dried out well, but had an absolutely freezing cold night again, but and a bit wet. As you can see, the rest of the wall again, when it was dry the previous days, quite damp. And my first coat there, so day number 1, the coat underneath, it's actually still what I would call green, which is still sort of soft. I could rub that up, I could still pull a scratcher across it and stuff, but I've left it rough to allow for a key of this coat. And also the fact that it's not fully set will help this coat adhere to it as well. And this mix is 4:1, guys. So again, I've dropped out my mix slightly. You'll also notice it's raining on me. Anytime I'm at this job working away at these walls, the weather just wants to mess me about, something shocking. So, but here we go. Trying to get it all lashed on and see where it takes me then. So the idea here is to get it, the ideal job on this would be to get this on, get it straightened up, let it dry, and then further finish it off. And I was tempted to try to polish it smooth with a trowel, but I did polish it and still sponged it, as it was coming up much nicer. I'll show you that. That's down the line, so I'll not get too much into that yet. That's yet to come. But so the main game is to get it as square and filled out as possible. Still quite a coat left, especially in the middle, as the middle here, it is the heaviest point. As the sides, they were no problem to fill out whatsoever. So again, this is actually into the third day, believe it or not, and I give them a soak the night before, as I didn't want them actually to fully set on me. and then I give them another soak, as you can see here. This is first thing the next following morning. So this will be actually the third day at the columns alone, and a day obviously scratch coating. So to this point you could say it's been 4 days on these bits alone. Quite a bit of work, but I find detail work quite enjoyable, so it's not too bad. So you can see I got them straightened out not too bad the night before. Still a bit of tidying up to do, such as cleaning the corners just slightly more here, but that's no problems. Believe it or not, this render has been on maybe 12 hours, and it's still, no, I would say it's longer than 12 hours, and it's still rubbable, and that's due to the coldness. That's how cold it has been, and just glad that I kind of had them covered up so there was no frost could actually hit them. So I had a bit of a roof on them and a bit of plastic sitting up to them, and it wasn't too windy. So I know last time I tried to cover things up, the wind decided to move the sheets I had up to damage everything. But you can see this is, I could still trowel this up, I could rub it up with a float and rub it up here. It's rubbing up very, very nice with the sponge, and it's given me pretty much the finish I want is with the sponge here. It's coming up quite fine, and that's exactly what we're after. And also the sponge will show you any sort of slight low points and high points also, if you can't see them when you're troweling up. And you will notice, guys, I sponged this thing quite a lot. And so also what I left in a bucket and topped it up with a wee taste of water and give it a mix the night previous was the same 4-to-1 mix. And the reason I wanted to do that, again guys, and I don't want to spoil the colour of these, as if I try to mix another 4-to-1 batch, it can come out that wee bit different colour, and I'm trying to keep these as uniform as possible. So able to keep that mix fresh till the next day was a bit of a lifesaver as well, so I could fill in wee bits and pieces that I'd missed, because believe it or not, by 3 o'clock it was practically pitch black. So, you know, I didn't have much light, and false light's not great for doing any work really, especially outside work. You want the sunshine on them. And as you can see, I really pay attention with the sponge here, trying to get everything really, really nice before I start trying to do my detail work, guys. That's really what I'm after here, is a nice smooth finish. And you'll see it do a couple of different tactics, and still playing about making sure, you know, there might be something easier and quicker. If there's something easier and quicker, I'll be sure to find it and try it at least. But I don't know if you can see the detail, but it's coming in pretty nice so far, and I'm getting with every pass I'm even more happy with my work, and that's what it's all about. Sometimes you just have to stick with it, guys, and don't give up. Just stay at it. You will get it if you just have patience. Even if it's a bigger wall, if you just take it area by area. You know what I'm doing here, the top's finishing quite easily, as it's the driest point, as the moisture will fall down the wall naturally. So, you know, I found the top sort of half a foot down, really finished tidy and quickly for myself. And later on, I did find that the smallest trowel I had, this wee Spear and Jackson Tyzac trowel, the wee polishing trowel they have. It's quite a nice trowel for awkward areas, but I did find that actually helped me smooth in the sand cement. Any wee voids I've got there, real good, much better than the bigger one. And so I did talk previous about something that I would have did a wee bit more. Well, one, I would have preferred to do this in much warmer weather. It would have been much easier. But the only thing I really would have liked to add would have been able to rule it. I know I was pulling up all the time, but I would like to pull a rule along the face of it a wee bit better. I wasn't so confident doing that, because it was so heavy. I was afraid of it all dropping with so much of a pull on it. So that would have been roughly the only thing I would change on the whole job. So cutting out, went for 3 lines, and it came out pretty nice. The usual way I cut, guys, I'll have to show you how to make them wee wire cutters. Nothing to them at all, but might have to dedicate a wee video to them. But I had it did look nice cut and left cut, but my vision of the inside cuts here were that they were to be the smoothest part of the whole column. So that's why I'm pulling the tool up them, and it's actually a joint tool, guys, for bricklayers, believe it or not. And you will also see me using them in an older video where I do brick effect render, and certain things you can just go straight with that, but with the likes of this I needed carve out then smooth in. And again, with similar to the sponging and the rubbing up, I get a wee bit obsessed with constantly trying to get them grooves smooth. I wanted them like glass, which can be a bit tricky, but I think I got them in pretty well. And you notice that I'm chopping and changing between the level and the timber for cutting. I actually finding the timber a wee bit lighter to hold, as it's a bit wider and it's a bit flatter. But that Spear Jackson level has been brilliant as well, as you can look at the bubble a couple of different ways also. Not that it's heavy or anything, and get a bit of a glimpse of the cutter here up close. So just measure them out as even as possible. Again, you could take your time a wee bit more with them, but sometimes you have to start. And if you don't cut, if this stuff sets anymore, it won't cut. I won't be able to do anything with it. And as you can see, the sun's with me a wee bit, but it's still quite cold. As you'll notice, I have not dropped the hood off yet, and the wall still looks quite damp also. So it's me again with the jointing tool, and I do in areas add a wee bit more mortar in at times, and really trying to make them look smooth, and sort of wanting the sponge finish on the outside and then the smooth finish on the wee grooves here. But again, guys, just let me know what you think. Would you have bothered doing what I'm doing, or what techniques would you have went for any of this? I'd love to hear them in the comments. But if you're enjoying it so far, for sure hit the thumbs up and let me know what you're liking about this so far. And I do have a bit of a drawing of all this as well. I think I've posted that in the channel if anybody's interested in seeing what the funny wee sketches look like. And just using some fresh mortar again from the mix the day before. It really does show you how long satin cement can take to set. Believe me, in colder climates it can take a real long time. If you are rendering a wall, guys, you're supposed to be rendering from 5 degrees up, so 5 degrees and rising. And believe it or not, there's frostproofer in this gear as well to try to get me a head start. So that's what they're looking like so far, guys. I'm pretty happy with the results. Again, the more time you take on certain smaller aspects of jobs, the better the whole job will look. And the idea here is that there's going to be quite a bit of detailed work in the round these and stuff as well, that it'll all tie in eventually. I know a lot of the subscribers are really looking forward to the final video, and I can tell you we're a few steps away yet, and a few good demos to come yet as well, where I show off some more detail work and some more. Hopefully you're enjoying the detail work, guys. I know it's pretty enjoyable to do, and you know, could spend hours doing me fancy things and stuff as well. But of course, we don't always get them jobs, so try not to do what I do, drop your cement. Don't like to waste it, so pick the stones out later, eh? But yeah, here you can see that I'm finding it easier just to use 2 small trowels. It's actually a Refina bucket scoop, and again my wee cheap pointing trowel that's been with me a long time, so I'm careful not to lose it again. And like I said, you'll see that in the coins done, and I do have plans to do a good demo on doing coins from scratch, again just similar to this, from buttons all the way to the final sponge and the final cut. So I hope you are looking forward to those videos as well. Again, it could take time for me to get them uploaded, but they're on the to-do list. So I'm not sure if you have watched the video previous this as well. It was actually done in the summer, where I do some rendered detail along left and right side of the land mold, and basically this is a reverse of that, this wee detail I'm doing at the bottom. Some of you may have recognised it, but if you're new to the channel, I suggest you, after this video, get on, have a wee look at that, and you'll see how I made the wee template and stuff, and you'll see that this is actually a reverse of that, in the fact that it's, the other one is point facing down, this is point facing up of the detail, and the other one is detail out, where this is detailed in. So it's like a reverse, an opposite. So thought that was pretty interesting. I also thought this ties this facing wall to the other wall as well. So pretty good, in my opinion anyway. But let me know your thoughts, guys. Would you have done something different at the bottom? I personally was going to do something different, but I had enough stuff to do this, and I didn't want to just overdo it. A wise man once told me to know when to walk away, to know when you're finished on something. So in other words, you can definitely overdo things, guys. You can, if you overdo it too much can be a horrible thing. So don't want to spoil it. I want it to look good. Not over the top, but not underdone either. But yeah, let me know, guys, what you actually think. Again, this is still the 3rd day or 4th day, depending on what way you're looking at, but the 3rd day of these columns, and this is same stuff as again. I'm wanting to keep colour as true as possible. Now these pillars could dry out slightly different colours, as if I had a muffled out the undercoat slightly, give it a complete 2-inch coat radius for my top coat, or 1.5-inch coat, left myself an inch coat to go on, whereas I kind of just built it out nicely and try to leave myself a good sort of inch and a quarter of a coat to go on. Believe me, there's quite a lot of stuff on them columns. There's actually, on the 1st day, there is 3.5 buckets on the actual wall. Every drop of that is on the wall. And then the 2nd day, there's another 2 buckets on, plus the cement. So let's just call it sand. So there's 3, 4, 5.5 buckets of cement mixed on them columns alone. So if you break that down, it's about almost 3 buckets each one. So them builders buckets don't look that big, but there's decent enough amount of gear on them, and I'll give you a bit of an idea of depth that we're working with here. If you imagine that bucket poured out up that wall, 3 of them, it would be quite hard to keep that to stay to the wall, guys, believe me. So just rubbing the float on this one this time, trying to draw the moisture out, as these bottoms are quite wet. And believe me, I give this a lot of time, guys. I threw it on, let it sit, came back, rubbed it up. And the idea here is to get it shaped up as nice as possible before I cut. Quick look at here, just lumped on, guys. So that's the name of the game. Get it on, get it straightened up as neat as you can. You will find out later on that, you know, I might have been safer just firing this whole thing on, but I didn't want to wet the bottom too much as well, because the underneath of this is still slightly wet as well. So I'm trying my best not to disturb as much as possible. And I find by not coating every area, it gives me a wee bit more chance of it drying out. And this one's pretty much all freehand, as you can see. I do use a tape. And later on, that last detail on the right, I also notice I just needed to come on down slightly with that. So that was adjusted to suit. Sometimes you need to look at things from so many different angles before you see anything as well. But this has been measured off and plumbed up as well. I actually used the radius trowel to get my lines with a wee level on it, also double checking. But you will find sometimes when you're cutting things like this that you do need to do a lot of tidying up work with the sponge and troweling, just constantly touching up some smaller areas, wee trowel marks and that. If it was real dry weather, I would get away with also using tussle brushes and stuff with nice clean water to tidy up further. And the idea here is, guys, there's a wee slight 45 on this, and that should help let water escape off the bottom. Didn't want a square edge on it. I think you get a better show on this far column. So you can see it's actually sticking quite well, as both renders are still quite wet. So if you are cutting to something that's wet, I know with the other details I was able to do like a base coat and then go with a top coat the second day, which was, to be honest, a bit handier. But these are only small areas, so why not go for it? And that's the sort of shape we're going for. We're going to get one in the center and one either side cut out. Again, it's quite awkward, it's quite low down, and not sure what way the ground's been finished completely, but it still gives a wee bit of a nice feature to it. Well, I think so anyway. Could have did something different. Could have pulled a running mold along the top edge and put a bit of a groove in it. Could have put some more lines in it, the same as the top. Could have did all lines in it up and down. Could have did some V's in it up and down or round away. But I thought this looks nice, as, like I say, it ties the left wall to the right wall somewhat. Not that it has to either. And again, not sure if many people have asked for types of videos to come, but I'm hoping to do a K-Rend video. Well, I should say Manacouche. Not sure if it's K-Rend or Weber I'll be using, but a wee small section done with it and a small section done with acrylic. So I'll have hopefully nice detail for you on them. Again, they're colour code renders. It's supposed to be you don't need to paint them and stuff for so many X, Y and Z years. Hopefully get some nice footage of that and answer some more questions that have been asked in the past in those. And I'm also hoping to do obviously some more just rendering videos, coins, what I mentioned, and hopefully some skylark stones on the wall, possibly. Not 100% sure, because I find it hard to to get small pebbles that are smooth. Might have to make myself up a bag or so of them myself, but don't fancy picking them up down the beach. Take quite a long time for a video, but yeah, so lots of good stuff to come. Hopefully this has been a really enjoyable video for you. I'm going to upload this video twice, one with the commentary and one without, so just one with, one without, and let people decide which ones they like better. Me waffling on, or enjoy the commentary or not, enjoy just watching the work happen. But yeah, back onto the small tool here, guys. It's $2.50 for the bigger one. The bigger one is great for coin stones and that there, but just a bit too big for down and round here. And again, like I say, I'm trying to be careful not to cut right into the coat underneath, as it's still also soft. Now, I did post a picture of this on Instagram, got some good comments on that. Somebody actually thought I was working at the Belfast Castle. It's a real lovely place in Belfast. Hopefully when things are all done and dusted, we can get some dinner done up in it. But so this is us at this stage, guys, coming in nicely. Again, a little bit more touching up to do, but we'll get there. Just the tops left to tidy up. And again, was gonna go, this is a wee look at them here, practically finished. And here's the top getting run in. Same day again, quite a lot happened the third day. Well, quite a lot of prep was done beforehand. The preparation, guys, is the main thing really. The finishing is the enjoyable part, but preparation is key to plastering. It really truly is. Without the preparation, you can't do the finishing. And I was going to go a wee bit more detail at the top, but for some reason this simple wee finish just tied it up for me. I was going to add squares underneath it the whole way along, we sort of like wee castle squares, and the whole way on the underneath of that detail, but I choose not to, and just thought that simple wee band along the top edge just sort of made it look a wee bit more real and a wee bit tidied up nicer. So sometimes you have to cut a sponge up, guys, just to do these wee bits. That's tip of the week there. Sacrifice a sponge to finish on some occasions. See that white thing as well underneath the coping stone? It's a bit of plastic that was on the bottom that is encased up there, and that's where it's going to stay. I don't fancy picking it out. I don't know how far up it goes, so just left it in. It's fossilized. But yeah, that's it up close and personal, guys. I think it's came up tidy enough, not too much complaints off the boss anyway. And some lovely camera work here, I must admit. And that's a wrap, guys, for that. Again, get on, have a look at the other video if you haven't seen it yet, with the scratch coatings and the other detail work I've done. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, for sure. I'd love to hear more from you. I love the comments, guys. I love the debates and the chats we have. I love the questions. I love to be able to help. If I can, I do. If I can't, I try. I'll definitely give you some ideas and some thoughts, or at least my opinion. My opinion hopefully can go a good while to help you guys, at least give you some ideas of what way I would do it, which might help you have some ideas of how you're planning on doing it. And again, you don't need all of these tools, for sure. You don't need every single tool to do this job, but sometimes a good chest full of tools does help accomplish something, as you've seen in that video. Every tool that's sitting there was used. Plasters do actually, you know, a lot of other tradesmen laugh and think we don't spend big money on tools, but plastering tools wear out quickly, so you do be replacing them at times. That's why when I get a good trial, guys, I always try to let you know that it's been working for myself. Again, tools that work for myself, you'll see me use them time and time again. Same as materials. If something's not working or something is working, I'm gonna let you know. So hopefully you get a chance to look at them other detailed videos.